In chapter 32, Jacob has obeyed the Lord, and he is headed back to the land that God called him to go back to. Some angels meet up with him in verse 1. Now Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. We don't know exactly what these angels said, but it was some kind of encouragement to Jacob as he has now left Laban behind, and there was a great conflict there that the Lord navigated for him. He heads back, but as he goes into the land, he knows he's going to have to face his brother Esau. This is a great terror for him because Esau, the last time he heard from Esau was plotting a revenge against him. He just hasn't been able to get to him. But now that he's coming back into Esau's territory, he knows that this could go very poorly for him. And so he sends a messenger to check it out and tell Esau he's coming. And he receives a message back from Esau of the very kind that he feared. Look at verse 6. Esau, in verse 6, the messenger returned to Jacob saying, "We come for your brother Esau, and furthermore, he's coming to meet you and 400 men with him." You don't bring 400 men with you on something like this so you can have a tea party. Esau is coming for revenge. Jacob is now in his territory. It's time to complete his promise from years ago and kill him. And this is exactly, verse 7, what Jacob feared. Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed. So he now knows his life is in jeopardy and all of his family. He divides his family and all of his livestock and all of his servants into two companies, separates them from one another in verse 7 and 8. With the idea that if Esau comes and destroys one of the companies, the other may escape with their lives. So that's his hope. Then he goes to the Lord in prayer. Very humble, gracious prayer in verse 9. "O God of my father Abraham and the God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who has said to me, 'Return to your country and to your relatives, and I will prosper you.' I'm unworthy of all the loving kindness and all the faithfulness which you've shown me, your servant. For with my staff only I crossed this Jordan, now I have become two companies. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brothers." So he starts off with this prayer of humility and gratitude, thanking the Lord for what he's done, reminding the Lord also that he is obeying the Lord's command to come back. Then he gives his petition. "Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, for I fear him. And he will come and attack me and the mothers of my with the children. For you said, I will surely prosper you." He's reminding God again of his promise. "And make your descendants as the sand of the sea, which is too great to be numbered." So he has this very good prayer of petition and gratitude to God. But then he spent the night there, verse 13, alone. The companies have been set apart, and they've gone away from one another, leaving Jacob all alone. And there he now will spend the time with the Lord. We drop down here at this point to verse 24. It says, "And Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak." This is this famous wrestling scene with God and Jacob. Now, Jacob does not know that this is the pre-incarnate Jesus Christ himself, that the Lord himself, taking on human flesh, is now wrestling with him. He figures that out later. But I believe at this point he simply believes he's wrestling with a man, and he cannot win that wrestling match, but neither can the other guy beat him, it doesn't seem. And so in verse 25, when he saw that he had not prevailed against him, he touched the socket of his thigh. So the socket of Jacob's thigh was dislocated while he wrestled with him. So the Lord did not prevail over him. He didn't win the wrestling match, so to speak, but he does wound Jacob and gives him a permanent limp, apparently. But Jacob is not ready to give up even then. He says in verse 26, "Let me go, for the dawn is breaking." But he said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." Now he's apparently understanding now who this is. This is not your normal character. This is not a robber. This is God. And so he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." And he said, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with man and has prevailed." And Jacob asked him and said, "Please tell me your name." And he said, why is it that you ask my name?" And he blessed him there. And Jacob named the place Peniel, and said, I've seen God face to face, yet my life has been preserved. It is at this point that God is going to change his name, and we're going to move into that here. His name has been Jacob. His name will now be Israel, which means that one who fights with God. That's verse 26. He talks about that. The one who fights with God, or God fights for him. And so there's a big change taking place here in Jacob's life, and his name will reflect that.